I tested every single class in Black Desert Online to bring you this guide. This is a class guide for all the reworks in Black Desert Online. First and foremost, the most important thing for picking a class is a class that's fun, so we have video footage of every single class being played in this video. Second, this video is based on my opinion and my testing, which means you might not agree with everything. We have a lot to cover, so let's get started. For Lahn Awakening has lots of fast action skills and is known for a very strong PvP. With their rework, they basically reduced the cooldown of several skills, as well as making some of her cooldowns have new combos. This has both made her more frustrating to play for players, and also a lot better in PvE. Lahn Succession, literally the second or the first strongest class in the entire game. This is known for very, very strong skills. She has 4 strong skills. One is Blooming Nether, another one is Cymbidium, another one is Pendulum Kick, and the last is, I believe, Blade Dance. This is a strong class for anyone looking to min-max their money while grinding in PvE. Striker Awakening. Striker Awakening rework has honestly been phenomenal. I have leveled this to level 62 and has been extremely fun. He has simple combos that are easy to execute. He has large AoEs, and even though he isn't quite as strong as Striker Succession, most people are playing him just because he's so much fun, and he's a teensy bit stronger in PvP than Striker Succession. Striker Succession is the strongest class, or second strongest class, akin to Lahn Succession, known for his very strong PvE. He's fairly frustrating to play because he has higher APM than a lot of our classes, and his combos are not really forgiving if you mess them up. But he is very tanky and very strong in PvE, a #1 pick for anyone looking to min-max their trash. Musa Awakening honestly had a phenomenal rework, with all of his skills getting a nice visual appearance, new abilities being added, as well as old abilities being reworked. A lot of people are excited for Musa Awakening. Right now, he is a terror in the PvP scene, so if you're looking for a class that has good mobility in PvP, we've been waiting to play Musa Awakening for a long time. Now is your time to shine Musa Awakening. Have fun, guys. Now, Musa's Succession here has gotten some bigger AoEs. Overall, his Serene Mind is still his main thing. You use basically 3 abilities on him, and his damage is actually very good for PvE. Succession Musa has way better damage than Awakening Musa in PvE, but the downside here is that it's not really fun to play, and his combos become frustrating and tiresome. Berserker Awakening. Berserker Awakening, known for his huge cannon on his arm, high mobility, can Q buff and easily destroy people in large-scale PvP fights. Although currently I've been able to play him a lot, but no matter how much I play him, I still find his abilities to be slightly clunky and unintuitive. His cooldowns don't quite sync up with his high APM speed. That said, his PvE, although a little underwhelming, is still okay. Berserker Succession, honestly, one of my favorite reworks. Damage is about average on it, but his mobility is absolutely insane. And as you will learn, you can basically stay in this beast form the entire time while playing the class and go absolutely berserk, truly embodying the name Berserker. Ninja Awakening has found his home now. He's a very simple class to play for PvE after you learn his combo. His combo can be a little difficult to learn, and his damage is literally one of the highest in the games. Now, this is an absolute insane class to pick up. His PvP becomes fairly difficult to play and is fairly high APM for the PvP. But when killing monsters, his actions per minute are fairly low. Now, if you're looking for button mashing, Ninja Succession is what you're looking for. This class has insane actions per minute, or APM. Honestly, your hands will be tired after playing this for even an hour or two. It's really fun though, and very enjoyable to play once you maximize it. The damage potential on it is actually fairly high for people who mastered the class. DK Awakening. So for DK or Dark Knight, basically the thing is here is she got some new abilities for Cluster and for Grudge, basically allow her to have field damage for her combos. The problem is that her combos have become quite clunky or troublesome, a little difficult to actually execute is the way to say that. Her APM is average, but overall her damage is actually extremely high. But if you can't burst down the enemies, you'll find it pretty hard to do her combos. For Succession DK, one of the big problems here is that they nerfed and removed 50% crit chance from a lot of her abilities. It is actually such a big a nerf that they're actually adding back 50% crit chance to 2 of her skills, Will of Fortune and Lunacy of Verdir. And this should bring her back up a little bit. Currently, she's a little weak in PvE, but we should see her remain viable after the update. Shai. Well, Shai here got a 20% buff to every single skill, and on top of every single skill getting buffed, they also gave her a new skill, which is one of the hardest hitting skills in the entire game. She's known for having 2 very strong heals and having a very, very simple kit requiring very few skill points. If you're looking to play in teams, in PvE, Shai is the class to pick. Ranger Awakening. So Ranger Awakening got an incredible update, adding back attacks, lots of smooth animations across the board, but with one big downside. They nerfed every single ability by around 20 to 40%. This basically means that casual players will find the class a lot weaker, and hardcore players will find the class a little bit stronger than it was before. Overall, Ranger Awakening is a little weak in PvE, and I'd like to see her get some buffs in the future. Ranger Succession. So Ranger Succession is honestly one of my favorite low-end classes to grind on because of her insane grind speed at low-end grind spots. At high-end grind spots, she has a nice burst combo, but I find it a little hard to play properly with her combos being very short and bursty. Warrior Awakening. Now, Warrior Awakening has been known for a very long time for its animation cancels, and Pearlbis tried to address this so that higher FPS didn't equal more DPS in the class. This has resulted in Warrior Awakening receiving a fairly substantial rework on the way the class is actually played. And as a result, his PvE damage is actually kind of insane right now in the game. I expect to see him have some small nerfs in the future just because of how overtuned the class truly is right now. Warrior Succession has been a very underrated PvE class for killing monsters for a long time. He's a very simple kit. I think most new players who are playing Warrior will probably pick up Succession first and then transition to the Awakening for the higher DPS. Witch Awakening. Witch Awakening got 2 brand new skills, Lightning Barrage as well as another one. These skills have been instrumental in making the class feel a lot more full and complete as a class. Unfortunately, her damage right now feels a little low in PvE while killing monsters. Very good for lower end grind spots, but suffers a little bit at the high end grind spots currently. Hopefully she'll receive some buffs in the near future. Now, Witch Succession here has a extremely cool kit in my opinion, but it's the same as Wizard Succession, so a lot of witches and wizards are currently a little upset that Wizard and Witch Succession feels so similar to each other, unlike other Successions. Now, everybody is known for a long time about Witch and Wizard being very good in Siege, and that remains true even after the update. Wizard Awakening. Similar to Witch, received 2 brand new abilities as well as a mobility skill. Wizard has been known for a long time for his huge AoEs and fire skills that can come in and kill several people at the same time in large-scale PvP. His PvE, just like Witch Awakening, also remains a little weak. Wizard Succession. As I stated before, it's very similar to Witch Succession, so for demonstration purposes, I've picked a different set of skills here to demonstrate. Wizard and Witch Succession are currently a little weak in PvE as well. Tamer Awakening. Tamer Awakening honestly was pretty surprised. 2 of her skills do remarkably good damage, but the class suffers from an unbalanced kit. In PvP, she takes too much damage. In Siege, she's unviable. And when it comes to PvE, outside of the 2 skills that do too much damage, the rest of them are too low damage, and her AoEs are also suffering. She really needs an additional rework after everything is done and said. Tamer Succession got a nice rework for her pet. Just like all pets now scale off your AP DP for every single class. And this means that Tamer can now ride Hellion and kill monsters. This is not currently very effective. If you're going to be grinding on Tamer Succession, you won't be grinding well on Hellion, probably at in-game grind spots, but it is something fun to do as a new player. Kuno Awakening. Kuno Awakening has an amazing spin to win skill that has tons of damage on it. As far as her overall rework, several of her skills combo better now than they did before. The kit feels very smooth. Some of her other skills feel a little underwhelming in damage, and I think that needs to be a little bit more rebalancing there. Also, was a little sad she didn't get a visual update. Overall though, Kuno's worth trying out. Her DPS and PvE is pretty good. Kuno Succession. So for Kuno Succession, basically they increased the damage of all of her skills across the board. I found that she was a little clunky to play, like a little unenjoyable. And I think you can still pull really good trash across the board. I don't think her damage is really a problem. This is really just a fun thing, I think. And maybe other people disagree and they'll find Kuno Succession really fun. But I found her skills a little awkward and hard to deal with. Archer. Archer got a wonderful update. He now feels like a full class. Before, he felt like he was always missing like 1 or 2 skills. His Full Bloom got a nice update here with nice new visuals, as well as a brand new skill, which really rounds out the kit well. Archer is now a nemesis of everyone in RBF, or Red Battlefield, with his long-range ability to snipe off enemies at render range. Guardian Awakening. Guardian Awakening has been a chill PvE grinder for a super long time. For anyone who wants to Netflix and grind, this is the class for you. Guardian Awakening, honestly, phenomenal across the board. She didn't really receive any major buffs in the rework, but is still a top-rated class for grinding in PvE for people who just want to chill and hang out and grind a little bit. Guardian Succession. Guardian Succession has been a little undertuned in PvE for a long time, and with her rework, she now has a lot of damage in her kit. And I actually think she competes with a lot of the top-end grinders, just DPS-wise, in PvE. In PvP, the Guardian Succession has always been an interesting pick for the 1v1s, and so I think that will continue to be true after her rework. Hashashin Awakening. So Hashashin Awakening has been one of my favorite classes for a long time. He's always kind of missed like 1 or 2 skills in his Awakening to feel like a complete class, and that still is true even after his rework, unfortunately. But his damage on his skills is absolutely insane, and he's not to be underrated. Currently, Hashashin Awakening is most likely stronger than Hashashin Succession, and is going to be the new pick for a lot of players looking to get some fast kills in PvP. Hashashin Succession known as the Sand Ninja. Lots of tornadoes you can spawn here. This is a really, really fun class to play as far as the tornadoes go. I find he feels a little mechanical in the way he plays, and a lot of people don't really mind this though. We received an accuracy nerf with the reworker as passive, but overall the class is still very strong overall in PvP and in PvE. Sage Awakening. Sage Awakening has been used for a lot right now. He's a class that does extremely well when you're over geared for your grind spot. His AP scaling is only average, but he makes up for that a lot by having really good mobility and extremely large AoE sizes. If you're a person who's over geared in the 280s to 300 AP, this class might be something for you. If you're a new player, it's still really fun to play the class, but it'd be noted you're going to need a little bit more gear to take full advantage of his kit. Sage Succession. Honestly, this class surprised me. It used to do a ton of damage, and it's just received nerf after nerf after nerf after nerf. And the rework was no exception. He received more nerfs to his PvE. At this point, I find Sage Succession to be a little underwhelming in PvE, kind of across the board. I was a little disappointed when testing him out to find this was he was so weak, and hopefully he'll get some love in the future. Nova Awakening. Similar to Sage Awakening, this class excels when you're over geared. This class does pretty underwhelming damage if you are under geared, but when you're properly geared and you use LV weapons at Redworks, this class can pull in some record number trash loot per hour, and it's not to be underrated, but to have to keep note that this is only if you're over geared for the grind spot. Nova Succession. So unlike Nova Awakening, who has extremely high APM, Nova Succession is kind of the opposite with very low APM. Now, currently in PvE, she's a little weak, and she is receiving some buffs in the very near future. So Windows hit live server, I expect her to go from a very weak PvE class to an average PvE class. They reworked her pet damage, and her pet damage currently feels a little underwhelming. Sorceress Awakening. I've put over like 10,000 hours in this Sorceress Awakening, and the new playstyle is just not to my taste, I'll be honest. I think a lot of Sorceress mains will be disappointed with this. Overall in PvE, she is still a tyrant in PvP. If you can utilize this class and play it properly, it is insane in PvP, and that hasn't changed with the rework. Sorceress Succession, a little stronger in PvE than Sorceress Awakening. Overall, her damage has received some major buffs with the rework. Her playstyle remains roughly the same, remaining to be a very, very high APM class, as well as a very difficult class to play properly. Valkyrie Awakening. Valkyrie Awakening got some major changes to her PvE, extremely strong across the board, but still feels a little clunky. The result of this is it kind of makes new players still not really desire to play the class, but it makes the veteran players who play Valkyrie Awakening very happy. So overall, if you're a Valkyrie main, congrats! Valkyrie Succession didn't really receive any major updates here, a few tweaks here or there. Overall, still the class feels very lethargic. Instead of feeling like a nimble warrior, similar to maybe Ranger Awakening feeling, instead she feels like a very slow character. Hope she gets another rework in the future that can kind of address these issues. Mystic Awakening. Mystic Awakening here has, honestly, it's just kind of weak across the board. She has a brand new skill, which is like Hill Split or something like that. It does pretty good damage, and she also has Wave Orb, but that does less damage than the Succession Wave Orb. So overall, I don't really see a reason why anybody would be playing Mystic Awakening at this point. She's one of the weakest classes in the game, and why would you just not play Mystic Succession? speaking of Mystic Succession, here it is. Her damage is phenomenal now. Her combos are very smooth. Honestly, very surprised. I had a lot of fun testing this class out, and was I'd say it's my second favorite rework of all the reworks after testing them all out. Has good DPS, fun combos, easy to learn for new players. Maehwa Awakening. So Maehwa Awakening has kind of had a problem for a long time. She has this ability called New Year's Eve, and this is basically one of her highest DPS skills. With the rework of Maehwa Awakening, they have two new skills that are slightly higher damage than New Year's Eve, but after you use both of those, you basically go back to spamming New Year's Eve over and over and over again for the highest DPS. A little disappointed with the rework, honestly. Maehwa Succession. Now, Maehwa Succession here, although her button combos are extremely frustrating to play, overall, her DPS is very good. And so you're going to see some record number trash loot videos coming out for Maehwa Succession. If you can put up with learning the terrible button combos, Maehwa Succession, kind of worth playing. I was fairly surprised to learn this, and after playing it, yeah, it's pretty insane. Good luck to anyone trying to learn this class, though. Corsair Awakening. Corsair Awakening's damage has been underwhelming for a long time in PvE, in my opinion, and with the rework, she didn't really get any major changes. I will say that her PvP damage across the board is absolutely insane. So if you're looking to snipe some people along with Archer, Corsair Awakening can do that for you at extremely long distance. Corsair Succession. So Corsair Succession here got 3 major buffs to her mermaid skills. For people who don't know, she basically has 2 forms, mermaid form and sword form. Those 3 mermaid skills have actually received a major buff. This brings her up to where she kind of feels viable compared to other classes where previously she felt very weak in PvE. Now, her sword skills still need a buff, so I'd like to see that adjusted in the future, but for now, kind of a reason to try out Corsair Succession. And here we are. You've made it to the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing. If you guys are wondering exactly how good these classes are, I have a tier list here that'll be on screen. This is just a tier list based on my opinions and testing the game. It's always getting reworked, so please don't judge me too hard. It's designed for new players, players who are playing on seasons, and players who are looking to tag a new character. So anyway, if you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, and if you disagree with anything, let me know in the comments. I'll catch you guys in the next video.